Hey everybody, I'm here today to talk to you about a reason why people fail their driving test, and that reason is getting into a collision. Now this one seems straightforward, but I'm going to explain it because it really has some significance, because believe it or not, this has happened many times. So many people on their driving test will actually get into a collision, and depending on where you live, it's almost certainly the case that when you get into a collision on the test, it's an automatic fail. Now that means that if you get into a collision, whether it's your fault or not, it's an automatic fail. So what does that mean for you? That means that if you want to pass your driving test, you have to be extra careful. I cannot emphasize that enough. You have to be extra careful. And that is simply because you don't want to get into a collision, an accident, whether it's your fault or not. So that means that obviously, one quick tip is to keep a safe following distance, simply because that'll obviously allow the driving test examiner to think of you in a positive way and think that you're a great driver. But also, in addition to that, it's going to allow the driving test examiner, it's going to allow you, I should say, to be at a smaller chance of getting into an accident. People rear end other drivers all the time, mainly because they're following too closely. So let's say you're following a car and that car decides to slam on their brakes. If you're following too closely, bam, just like that, you can get into a collision. And that would mean that you'd fail the test. Similarly, let's say you brake on time. Let's say you slam on your brakes, you brake on time, you don't hit that car, but the car behind you isn't prepared and they hit you. That's not your fault. But guess what? It's still a collision, and that means that it'll most definitely disrupt the driving test at the bare minimum, but it's probably going to cause you to fail and have to reschedule and have to redo your driving test. And imagine that happens right at the end of your driving test. You've done the whole test, you did amazingly well, you are almost certain that you're going to pass, and boom, you get rear-ended. That test is practically down the drain. Now here's what it comes down to. If you're following too closely, you're more likely to have to slam on your brakes. And that means that even if you don't hit the car in front of you, the car behind you is more likely to hit you. So for that reason, it's just very simple. Don't follow too closely. And that's just one of the tips. There are about 100 more, but the main thing is this. Literally the worst thing that you can do on a driving test is get into a collision, get into an accident. It is literally the worst, because almost everywhere, it's considered as an automatic fail. So with that being said, do everything in your power to avoid getting into a collision. Everything. I mean, increase your following distance. Don't brake too aggressively. Make sure your signal is on for like a few moments before you start switching lanes. Check your mirrors, check your blind spots. Like literally, I cannot emphasize this enough. Do everything in your power to avoid getting into an accident. Also, if you get into an accident, in addition to most likely failing your driving test, you got to go and figure out what happens with the car. You might have to deal with insurance. You might have to pay for damages. Even if you have insurance, you might have to pay for a deductible. Like, there are so many things, so many negative things that happen with regards to collisions. So with that being said, please do me a favor. If you're spending a lot of time practicing your driving skills, getting your driving knowledge, studying for the driving test, and just really trying to pass that test to get your license, do everything that you possibly can to avoid getting into a collision. It will greatly help you increase your likelihood of passing that test and getting your license. And that's it. That is a simple reason that people fail the driving test: a collision. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great car and driving videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.